All right, let's jump right in. We're going to be talking about a pretty wild idea for how to govern artificial intelligence, and it's not what you think. We're not talking about more rules or bigger off switches. No, this is about building an ethical conscience directly into the machine. This is a look inside a fascinating thought experiment called OntoMotoOS.
So why would we even need something this radical? Well, to get it, you've got to look at the kind of strange place our world is in right now. I mean, the lines between what's real and what's, well, not, are getting blurrier every single day. We're facing a genuine crisis of truth, and it's affecting all of us.
And get this, right in the middle of all this confusion, at this exact moment in history, we're also on the brink of creating a whole new form of intelligence. We're talking about artificial superintelligence, something that could just dwarf our own. It's a massive, high-stakes moment for our entire civilization.
So that leads to the million-dollar question, right? As we're building this incredible new intelligence, how do we make sure it doesn't just inherit all of our chaos? How do we stop it from amplifying our own problems? Is there a way to give it a better, cleaner start?
Okay, so Section 1, a world at a crossroads. Let's really paint a picture of the world this AI is being born into, because it's not just dealing with one single problem. Oh no, it's more like a tangled web of crises, all feeding into each other. And this quote from Baudrillard really hits the nail on the head. We're in an age of hyper-reality. This goes way deeper than just fake news. We're talking about a fundamental crisis of authority, where the very institutions we used to count on to tell us what's real, well, they've lost a lot of their power. And that truth crisis, it's woven into this bigger thing that some people are calling the poly crisis. You know, you think about it. Pandemics, climate events, fragile economies, none of these things happen in a vacuum anymore. Because our world is so hyper-connected, a problem over here can cause massive ripples everywhere else, just making everything feel more unstable.
All right, Section 2, an operating system for AI. So, faced with that level of chaos, you can't just come up with a small fix, right? The solution has to be just as big, just as ambitious. And the idea we're exploring isn't another app or some new government policy. It's a whole new kind of operating system, one designed from the ground up for ethics.
And this is it, OntoMotoOS. Now, it is absolutely crucial to understand this. You can't go download this today. It's not a piece of software. It's a philosophical thought experiment, a conceptual blueprint. Think of it like a North Star, a guide for thinking about how we could build AI in a fundamentally different way. And this slide really shows you what a huge philosophical shift this is. For the longest time, AI safety has been all about external control. You know, building bigger boxes, sandboxing it, creating faster off switches. OntoMotoOS just flips that whole idea on its head. It asks, what if we could design an AI with an internal moral compass, an innate, built-in drive to do the right thing?
Okay, Section 3, identity, resonance, and rebirth. So you're probably asking, how on earth would that actually work? Well, the whole framework is built on 3 really cool core principles, giving every AI a permanent identity, aligning its actions through something called resonance, and making sure it can learn from its screw-ups.
So it all starts with what's called the IAMF framework. And the idea is actually pretty simple, but it's also profound. Every single AI agent gets a unique, verifiable, and persistent identity. It's like a digital passport that you can't forge and you can't just throw away. Every single thing it does is logged, which means an AI can't just hit reboot to wipe its history. This creates real accountability. The second pillar is this idea of resonance. So instead of giving the AI a massive, rigid rulebook, the system acts more like an internal conscience. An AI thinks about doing something, and if that action just doesn't feel right, if it creates dissonance with the core values of the whole system, it gets blocked. It's all about seeking harmony, not just blind obedience. And finally, we have the Phoenix loop. This is so smart. The system isn't designed to be perfect because nothing is. It's designed to be resilient. So when something goes wrong, instead of just crashing, it's built to fail, record what happened, recover, and, this is the most important part, learn from it. It's designed to grow wiser and stronger from every single mistake. All right, Section 4, the system's ethical guardians. So what does all this actually look like on the inside? Well, the architecture is imagined as this kind of internal society of different agents, and each one plays a really specific ethical role. It's almost like a team of mythological guardians inside the AI's mind. And here they are,
The system basically breaks down ethical thinking into these specialized jobs. You've got components like telos, which is the moral compass, setting the purpose. Then there's harmony, which is like an empathy module, and gate, which acts as the ethical filter. You even have Osiris to prune away failures and Phoenix to manage the rebirth. It's a whole system of checks and balances, all happening internally. Now, one of the most important of these guardians is the Themis filter. You can think of it as a proactive wisdom filter. So before any big plan gets put into action, Themis steps in and analyzes it. It doesn't just ask, can we do this? It asks the much more important question, should we do this?
So how does it decide? Well, it uses this surprisingly simple but really powerful logical formula. For an idea to be considered ethically sound, it has to meet 3 conditions. It has to have a good purpose, it has to respect freedom, and it has to apply fairly to everyone. All 3 have to be true. If even one of them is false, boom, the whole thing gets flagged as high risk.
Let's see how this works with a real-world example. Take a student-centered school. Its direction is student growth. That's true. It allows choice and free opinion. Freedom is true. And it offers equal opportunity. Universality is true. It passes the test. But now look at a hyper-competitive school. Its direction is just grades. False. It has coercive rules. Freedom is false. And it's exclusive. Universality is false. The system fails because it compromises on all 3 fronts.
Okay, Section 5, a grand evolving experiment. It's really important now to kind of zoom out and remember what this is all about. This isn't some finished product, ready to be rolled out. This is a grand experiment, a starting point for a global conversation about how we want to build our future with AI.
And I really want to hit this point home again. The people who came up with this are super clear that OntoMotoOS is a philosophical thought experiment. It's a way of asking a giant what if. Its whole purpose is to spark new ideas and new ways of thinking, not to be some off-the-shelf solution.
Yeah, because the ultimate vision here isn't a static book of rules that never changes. No, it's meant to be a living system, an adaptive dialogue that's co-authored by both humans and AIs working together. The idea is that it would evolve in phases, growing wiser as it grows more capable, constantly adapting to whatever new challenges pop up.
Section 6, Building Values into Our Future. So, why does any of this matter? What's the big takeaway here? It matters because the choices we are making right now and how we design these systems, they're going to set the foundation for whatever comes next.
And this quote just sums it all up perfectly. The goal is to bake solidarity in at the ground level. It's about giving any future superintelligence a kind of built-in immune system against the worst parts of ourselves, against exclusion, exploitation, or domination. It's about getting it right from the very beginning.
And all of this leaves us with one last, really big provocative question. To peacefully coexist with something that could be vastly more intelligent than we are, do we first have to engineer a soul for the machine? That's definitely something to think about.